Have you ever wondered what it would be like to carry the blood of dragons, but live under the shadow of a tragic destiny? Alyssa Targaryen, one of the daughters of King Jaehaerys I and Queen Alyssa, was much more than just a princess of Westeros. From an early age, her life was marked by audacity, an indomitable spirit, and above all, the desire to be free in a world that expected obedience and submission from her. But what do we really know about this woman who rode Meleys, the Red Queen, and dared to defy the conventions of her time? As a baby, Alyssa resembled her older sister Daenerys, but over time, her appearance transformed into something unique. With a long and thin face, tangled blonde hair, and mismatched eyes, one violet, the other green, she stood out for her difference. And perhaps it was this very uniqueness that shaped her spirit, determined to live a life outside the norms. But what made Alyssa such a remarkable figure wasn't just her appearance, but her character. From a young age, she refused to accept what the world expected of a girl. While other girls played with dolls and embroidered, Alyssa preferred to dress like a boy, ride horses, climb trees, and duel with wooden swords. She was a born warrior, with a bold and fearless heart, and there was no one who could convince her to settle for less. Even Archmaester Gildane referred to her as a woman with the heart of a warrior. With an indomitable spirit, Alyssa not only rejected porridge, but also the expectations society had for her. Her physical strength was combined with a sharp mind and a quick tongue, characteristics that made her stand out. She loved to boast of being as obscene as any barmaid in King's Landing, a behavior that, for many, was unacceptable for a princess, but for Alyssa, it was a symbol of her freedom. And what would it be like to live under the constant pressure to marry someone chosen for political convenience, and not for love? While still young, Alyssa was considered a possible bride for her brother Aemon, but Queen Alyssa firmly opposed it, declaring that Alyssa was destined for Baelon, her other brother. Thus, Alyssa's fate was sealed. In 73 after the conquest, the plans for her marriage began to take shape, and in 75 after the conquest, she finally married Baelon. Although this marriage had all the characteristics of an arranged union, Alyssa and Baelon found something rare in each other, a true partnership. Alyssa's marriage to Baelon reflected her fearless personality. They became inseparable, spending hours together, either flying their dragons or in their chambers, where, according to rumors, Alyssa's sounds of pleasure could be heard from afar. She was not a woman who was ashamed of her sexuality, but embraced it with passion. It was during this period that Alyssa claimed her dragon, Meleys. Although the Dragon Keepers had persuaded her not to ride Balerion, the legendary Black Dread, because he was an older and slower dragon, Alyssa opted for Meleys, a creature as wild and fast as her spirit. Mounted on the Red Queen, Alyssa proved to be a true dragon rider, a woman made for battle and the skies. But can even the strongest escape the whims of fate? In the year 77 after the conquest, Alyssa gave birth to her first son, Viserys, and in an act that many would consider reckless, but which was perfectly natural for her, she mounted Meleys with the newborn Viserys wrapped in cloth when he was just 9 days old. She wanted her son to know the sky, just as she did. A few years later, in 81 after the conquest, Alyssa gave birth to her second son, Daemon, and once again, she took the child to fly on her dragon. However, Alyssa's life would not be long. In 83 after the conquest, she became pregnant again, but the labor was difficult and prolonged. She gave birth to another boy, Aegon, but never fully recovered. A year later, Alyssa died, leaving Baelon devastated. Baby Aegon would not survive much longer, dying half a year after his mother. Was Alyssa's fate already written in the stars, or could she have changed her future? The story of Alyssa Targaryen is one of strength, passion, and determination, but also of tragedy. She lived intensely, always defying the expectations the world had for her. Even in her final moments, Alyssa remained true to herself, expressing her desire to continue giving Baelon children, creating an army of Targaryen descendants. But what she could not foresee was the premature end that fate had in store for her. And now, as we look at Alyssa's legacy, we ask ourselves, was her life a representation of the eternal struggle between freedom and the limitations imposed by fate? Or perhaps, somewhere in the skies, as she rode her dragon, Alyssa found the true freedom she always sought. And you, how far would you be willing to go to defy fate?